In today's video, I'm going to turn this into this. Welcome back to What Could Go Wrong Models. Originally, I was just going to do this kit for a quick build with no lighting. That seemed kind of boring. And after assessing what I could do, I came to a single conclusion. I'd have to play with fiber. To light the twin ion engines, I measured the exhaust ports to find out what size of fiber I needed. I ordered it from a big online retailer, and while I waited for it to arrive, I started removing plastic to allow the fiber through. Once the fiber arrived, I test fitted a strand and it's too small. Let's try that again. Now that's more like it. In a real tie, the red instrument panels in the cockpit give off a glow, and I wanted to simulate that. I decided to just feed a strand of fiber on each side of the pilot that will provide some light, but not be too overpowering. With that done, I primed the cockpit and began spraying Tamiya light gray over the interior. I hand painted some accent colors with a metallic paint. It gives a really nice pop against the gray base color. The pilot got a, for some reason carefully applied, flat black coat from head to toe. I then gave him a gray dry brush to pick up the highlights before finalizing with the chest buttons. I gave the interior a gloss clear coat and applied all of the instrument panel decals. Once dried, I gave everything a dark enamel wash and cleaned it up with a dry cotton bud. Now it's time to get the lighting sorted out and close up everything for painting. I wired up a 3mm LED and attached the fiber optic strands using UV curable resin. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to run the fiber. Having never used it before, I worried about bending them too much and losing light intensity. I started reading into the math to calculate maximum bend radius as a function of fiber diameter multiplied by the something or other. It started to feel like just too much. Then I remembered, this is What Could Go Wrong Models. So just do it and see what happens. Yeah, I think I'll be alright. Next up was to mask the transparent window pieces before assembly. I used Tamiya masking tape due to its thinness and sliced out the window masks using a fresh knife blade. It was nerve-wracking using a blade against transparent plastic, but I focused on being slow and smooth with very light pressure. I plugged up the cockpit with sticky tack and started priming with a can of Tamiya Fine Surface Primer. Because of the downward angle of the wings, I decided to remove them, paint them separately, and assemble later. I recently stumbled across this video from Workbench Hobbies and was inspired to try the same black basing technique. If you haven't seen this video yet, I recommend it and will link below in the description. The concept is to give the model a completely black base coat and then apply the primary color over top using somewhat random motions. The goal is to create a more natural look through tone variation, and I gotta say, I loved this part. First, a satisfying even top to bottom base coat. Once I got the tie in all black, I started the primary color patterning on, you guessed it, the bottom of the model. Loaded with a very thinned down Tamiya light gray, I started spraying in small, back and forth circular motions. Not focusing on any one area for too long, I kept moving across the surface with this motion. When I got to paneled areas, I kept the paint toward the interior of the panel so that the black would serve as the panel line shading. At this stage, I had no idea what the result was going to be, but I just aimed for some sort of consistency in coverage. Now, the name of the game was to repeat this process until I was satisfied. Okay, it was actually until I couldn't move my hand anymore, but the timing worked out, so. But again, this was super fun to do. Kind of the same satisfying feeling you get when pressure washing dirt off of a surface. Yeah, kind of like that. I continued with the spray pattern on the wings and then attached them to the body to complete assembly. I was really pleased with the result and sealed it in with a gloss clear coat. Wait, hang on. Pause it. Pause it! Zoom in. What is that? Seems that I got some sticky tack on the side and it's fully primed, painted, and clear coated. Well, I guess it's agreeably now. I decided to use all three of these effects from the Starship line of enamel products by AK Interactive. The detail wash was up first for the pin wash and panel lining. The wash was great to use. It was very thin but still had a lot of color to it. I dabbed my brush along all recesses and panel lines, making sure it was providing simulated shadows to all of the details. I let it dry for a few minutes and cleaned up the excess using a dry cotton bud. All was night and day when it comes to detail washes. I was tempted to just stop here and leave it as is since most TIE fighters aren't seen with much wear and tear, but I like to use these projects as practice, so I moved on to creating some edge wear using a titanium silver color. I had no basis of reference, so I just focused on corners and leading edges. I really love edging. No. I really love working corners. No. I really like painting edge wear on corners. That's the one. It's one detail I think gives the most to create a sense of larger scale. Apply the color to the edges and add a bit more right at the corner. I try to leave a rounding shape of the original color, as seen here. I focused a lot of edge wear on the wingtips to suggest friction from air resistance, since the Striker operates mostly in atmospheric conditions. Though I still went on to apply the effect on prominent raised edges throughout the body. But one thing I learned was that applying metallic paints to a gloss coat under bright lights is not the smartest approach. The bright reflections on the gloss made it difficult to see how much metallic paint was put down and caused some areas to be less uniform than others. Next time, edge wear is going on before the gloss. The next effect I wanted to apply was the atmospheric dirt deposit. I figured, hey, it flies in atmosphere. This is called atmospheric dirt. Makes sense. I didn't want to go absolutely ham on this, so I applied it to the deepest recesses on the dorsal side of the body, figuring that's where dirt would build up and not be blown away. The deposit went on very smoothly and didn't require much manipulation. If any blending was needed, I just used a brush moistened with thinner and dabbed along the transition area until I was happy. Using the Starship streaking grime, I added a few details, but not too many, as I like to think the Empire still keeps close attention to the cleanliness of their craft. With those final details applied, it was time to remove the window masks. Carefully with some tweezers, I pulled the tape off to expose the untouched, transparent plastic. Finally, I prepared the base and stand to run the wires and connect to a 5-volt USB power source. The switches I had in stock were too big to fit neatly in the base, so I just decided that all switches everywhere were overrated and I didn't need one. And now all that's left is to see what it looks like. As usual, the Bandai kit was super fun to build and easy to handle. This first foray into fiber really opens up a lot of doors for lighting going forward, and I'm glad I did it. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please take a moment to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Thanks again. I'll see you next time.